Coming up tonight on CTV News, more quake victims have been successfully identified in community hubs to help people rebuild their homes. Welcome to CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. 5 more victims of the Christchurch earthquake have been officially named today. CTV staff member Matthew Beaumont and Chinese nationals Ying Yang-ling, Yu Yan-zhu, Didi Zhang and Zoli Zhou have been identified as a result of the ongoing work by the DVI team, using information including dental records, forensic evidence and personal property details. The Chief Coroner, Judge Neil McLean, welcomed the news that further victims of the Christchurch earthquake have been positively identified, and said the work carried out by the Disaster Victim Identification Team is incredibly difficult and painstaking, so these latest identifications are a wonderful testament of their persistence and professionalism. Police have confirmed that the DVI team has presented enough evidence on 5 of the previously unidentified victims of the earthquake for Coroner Sue Johnson to make a positive identification. Plans are also being announced for the second coronial inquest into the disaster. Coroner Gordon Matinga will hear evidence on 106 of the victims from the CTV building at an inquest from June the 13th to the 15th. The hearings will be grouped, evidence on 12 people believed to have been killed at the clinic and 8 other victims from the building to be heard on Monday, 13 staff from CTV and 8 staff from the King's College Language School to be heard on the Tuesday, and 65 students from the college to be heard on the Wednesday. A memorial service for Matty will be held on the weekend. There's been a backlash after statistics on Canterbury's chances of another major earthquake were released yesterday. Emily Cooper has more.
There's been a large amount of feedback from yesterday's coverage of earthquake figures released by GNS Science. The figures that Canterbury had a 1 in 4 chance of having another major quake was first reported after Councillor Sue Wells put the information on her blog. Councillor Wells' blog received over 6,000 hits from the figures she stated. Many are saying the release of figures is scaremongering. On her blog, Councillor Wells says she has received supportive remarks and some abuse. We spoke to GNS scientist Dr. Matt Gerstenberger yesterday about the statistics.
So the 23% probability of an earthquake magnitude 6.0 and 6.9 is for the entire Canterbury region. So this is for the entire aftershock zone, not just focused on Christchurch. Where that information comes from, it's using historical information. So looking at how past aftershock sequences have behaved both in New Zealand and other places around the globe, and we've compiled that information together with some kind of theoretical ideas of how we know aftershock sequences behave.
Dr. Gerstenberger says the information is only looking at quake averages, not predicting another major quake.
We can't predict earthquakes, so we can't say exactly when any earthquake might occur, but we get a reasonably good idea of how many to expect in what time frame. So if we're looking at this particular 23% probability, it's saying there's roughly a 1 in 4 chance that an earthquake of this magnitude will occur in the time frame, but it's also saying that there's maybe a 77% chance that we won't have something like this. And I guess one important thing to keep in mind is that each day that this earthquake does not occur, the probability decreases. So if we look forward in time another year out from now, that probability is down to roughly 10% chance. Kind of put it in context of earthquakes in New Zealand. If we look at earthquake hazard in other places, maybe if we're looking at the longer term over many years, the hazard in Christchurch from earthquakes is maybe now at a similar sort of level, probably not exactly, but at a similar sort of level as Wellington is. So it hasn't put it up beyond, it's not at a higher hazard level than for Wellington. And then Christchurch will then continue to decrease as the days and the years go on, as the aftershock sequence kind of slows down.
Coming up after the break, community hubs set up to help those with damaged homes. Community hubs have been set up around the area to help people with house repairs. Here's Emily Cooper.
Fletcher Construction has set up community-based offices or hubs around Canterbury. Each hub has staff overseeing the repair process of all house claims in that location. Currently 17 hubs are up and running, with 4 more in progress. Don Hayes is the Marahau project manager, which is based on Westminster Street. The Marahau hub covers the Shirley, Richmond, St Albans, Marahau and Papanui areas.
Well, we started here at the beginning of April. We set up on the site, which is City Council Reserve. It's an old work site. We've put this hub village together.
Marahau Hub has 18 staff members, including several contractors, a community liaison officer, quantity surveyors and EQC assessors. The hubs are based in communities to provide the public with a point of contact in order to repair their homes as quickly as possible.
It's becoming more and more a community focus. We're set up right in the middle of the area that we're servicing, which is Papanui, St Albans, Shirley, Richmond, Marahau. So this is an operational hub where the contractors come in for their instructions, or our supervisors go out on the jobs, and also a focus for the community so that we can assist them with their claims and their issues as well.
Don says they're still in the emergency repair phase and will be so for around 4 more weeks, but they're on track and repairs are going well.
Yes, we are. We're still on the emergency phase, and we're going to look at the 1200th job that we've processed through in the last 8 weeks. We're going well. We've got 50 contractors working under 8 contract supervisors, so they're managing the jobs, and now we're up to our 1200th completion, and once we get through the emergency work, we'll then start phasing into the repairs and rebuilds.
And he says winter heating is still a major priority for repairs.
Yes, it is, and we're supporting the winter heat program by doing the building work, or taking down chimneys and making houses weathertight and ready for installation of their home heating source.
Local MP Nikki Wagner says the hubs are important for the rebuild of communities.
I think they're enormously important because the community can actually see something happening. If your house is broken, it's really good to see that 1,200 jobs have been done and that there's a whole community here, the contractors, the supervisors, the EQC, they're all working together as a team to get your house fixed. I think it's really positive. I think you can see the action. I think we're seeing a lot of recovery progress through the suburbs and working towards the city, but I think people are beginning to feel, yes, we can get through this winter. We've been very lucky with the weather so far. I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to stay like this for a bit longer, but with 1,200 houses already completed here, we're getting through that workload.
Marahau Hub began its 12,000th emergency repair yesterday at an Edgware Road home which has been in the family for 3 generations. They're working on a chimney which has been removed brick by brick.
So from behind me you can actually see the chimney breasting. It's a 2-storey house, and if you look onto the breasting itself you can see the white paint line, and the breasting has pulled away from the side of the house. So the only thing that's holding it there at the moment is the barge boards, the top white section that runs up to the roof. So in another shake there's a very, very good chance that this could come down. And with us being so close to the road, there is a risk for the public. We've turned over and we've paid out $2 million to the builders, so it's a very, very large task, and we make sure that we can't leave any stone unturned, and everyone has to be seen and called and spoken to, because some people don't think they're a major priority, and don't worry about me, I'm okay. And you turn up and they're in the worst condition and state of them all. So we make sure that nobody's missed, basically.
Indeed, and coming up after the break, your local weather and weekly Canterbury business update. Pete Smith was at Addington Raceway today to take a look at the new stand for the upcoming racing season.
Saturday of Queen's Birthday weekend, there is a huge outing for everybody, and they should all go. It's the Harness Jewels, and it's held at Ashburton Racecourse. You can be assured of some record times. It's an ideal track for that type of event. But what's the background to the Harness Jewels? I thought I'd better to go to the racing guru, and he's a man. We're at Addington Raceway now, but of course it's going to be held down there in Ashburton on Saturday of Queen's Birthday. Gregory, it's a great event. It's a bit unique. What makes it unique?
Look, Pete, it's the Championship of Harness Racing for the year. It's the 5th running of the event. The first one was run at Ashburton, coincidentally, and it's the speed capital of harness racing in Australasia, arguably. Menangle's a very quick track now, but Ashburton is or arguably equally as fast, and I think on Saturday we'll see some brilliant performances. It is for the best age group pacers and trotters, and they have to qualify throughout the season, so that's what makes it the real championship. Only the top 12 in each category make the final. They come from all around the country, and there'll be 9 finals, if you like, on Saturday for $1.2 million.
And the concept of jewels, what's that about?
Yeah, it was put together by Edward Rennell and the team from Harness Racing New Zealand. They wanted to come up with something a little bit different, something that was unique. They race for rubies, diamonds and emeralds. The rubies for the trotters, the diamonds for the ladies, the 2, 3 and 4-year-old pacers, and the emeralds for the 2, 3 and 4-year-old colts and geldings. So yeah, it's really unique.
How do the stakes stack up?
Well, basically the trotters race for 100,000, so there's 3 of those, and then there's 6 other races for 150,000. So it's a lot of money, and the connections of all the runners really make a big effort to make the jewels.
The day it's set up for the public. I mean, there's other activity apart from just the racing.
Yeah, that's right. There's live bands on course, and there's great package deals there, and I think it's lifted compared to any other race meeting. They have a number of stalls, food-wise, etc. All the coffee vans rock in there, and it's a real unique place, Ashburton, because the city gets right behind it. I think that's the other thing, and the reason why it's held at Ashburton and Cambridge is the community gets right behind it, and it's their day in the sun, if you like. The councils have got right behind it in the past as well, and for that reason it's successful.
First race goes what time?
11:25 on Saturday. They'll fly around in that first one. They always do.
Give us 3 or 4 to really mark in your hat, Greg.
Well, Lonkham will win the first. I think she will, for Blair Orange, so he'll get up to 6 wins and join those other 2. I like Gold Ace and the 3-year-old. I think it could be the race of the day. Terra to Love and Gold Ace are the 2 best 3-year-olds. They couldn't be split here at Addington in the Flying Stakes. Gold Ace won the Derby a few weeks earlier. I really like him. And the last race is a fantastic go. Dexter Dunn's on Smiling Shard. He has been a Jules winner at 2 at Ashburton. He's a great horse. He's up against Franco Emirate, but I think they might all have to beat a horse called Pure Power, who's emerged out of nowhere for Dave and Claire McGowan. You might remember they had a horse called One Dream a few seasons ago. This guy has got raw ability and may give Ricky May, well, by then he would have Carabella winning because she'll be winning race number 3, but he hasn't driven a Jules winner. The man who's driven 5 New Zealand Cups hasn't driven a Jules winner. He might get 2, I think, on Saturday, Carabella being 1 and Pure Power the other.
So there we are. There's plenty on offer, isn't there, on Saturday. It is coming up to a long weekend. Ideal day. Go down to Ashburton. You will see the cream of the crop that's on display. And as Greg said to me just before, the cream always seems to come to the top. While we're at Addington, we took the chance to have a look at what was a famous landmark here at Addington, but as of course the result of the earthquake, and probably, if you're totally honest, it may have done its dash anyway. But that's the famous public stand. Greg, you're telling me, which really intrigued me, it's 50 years old.
Yeah, coming up, Pete, 63 when Cardigan Bay won, and that famous photo of him winning with the stand burning in the background. That was not long after that it was built. So it's been here a long time. It's seen some wonderful occasions, but as a result of the earthquake, there's some significant structural damage, and therefore the likelihood is it's going to have to come down.
And was that the only area at Addington that really got smacked around?
Yeah, I think there was a few other areas with superficial stuff, inside the main stand. The false roofs came down each time there was a decent sort of a shock, but no, the structural pillars, etc. for the stand behind us, are significantly damaged, and as a result, I don't think there's anything that can be done to save it.
So what was the capacity of that stand?
Yeah, about 4,500, and on a day like Cup Day, it damn near moved itself, to be honest, at some of the finishes.
Is it fair to say, though, it's sort of a once-a-year day stand?
Look, I think if there's anything positive to come out of what has been an awful time in Christchurch, there's a few situations like this. This is a dinosaur. It's been here, for nearly 50 years, as we said, and really one day a year it's full. So I think there's a great opportunity for the board and the committee, etc. of the club to put together a facility that's not only suitable suitable for race days, suitable for a whole lot of other.
So what's being talked about, mate?
Yeah, I think function rooms and 7-day-a-week bars, etc., are something that has always been on the radar here at Addington, but now there's a great opportunity to be able to do that. It's well insured, so there's a prime opportunity to set up a facility that they can be very proud of, can be user-friendly, and not only for race nights, for events at the CBS Arena, etc. I think this could become a real hub, like it probably should have been anyway.
The dollar has broken new heights, but that isn't all bad, as Warren Head explained to me this afternoon.
Well, it's fascinating right now, Rob. Everything seems to be coming around in New Zealand's favour. Now, it might not seem that way with all the disasters we've had in our town, and here we are meeting in one of your outdoor boardrooms again, but, around the rest of the world, they think this place is hot. And it is, in the context of our trade. Our trade balances went up. Phenomenal result on the trade balance start of the week. Last week, the Chinese decided that they'd invest in our bonds or our government stock. It might not seem very much to be paying 4% for 5-year money, or if you want to go into November stock, only 2.5%, but around the rest of the planet, interest rates are just about zero. So we look very, very good in that respect. And then along comes the dairy forecast. Great result for this year. A little bit softer for next year, but still outstanding. And then Monday, the National Bank's confidence figures come out, and it just goes on and on and on. So we shot up last time I looked, we were about 82 and a little bit over the top. Yesterday we set an all-time record for post-float high for the dollar. That's since 1985, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down at all.
So what does that mean for the retailers?
Well, if you're a retailer, and you're thus an importer as well as possibly buying your product here from New Zealand, you'd be pretty happy about this. You probably hedged your currency a little less than this, but if you're open and you're not hedged at this point, that is if you're not already banking on the currency staying where you all hoped it would stay, and you're buying from overseas, you're buying a lot better because it's costing you a lot less. On the same score, perhaps we can come back to retail because I think it's quite interesting what's happening in the city there. In the context of petrol, we've already seen the petrol price coming down. That's because the oil companies are importing at lower cost. If you look at from the point of view of exporters, not so good, because you're cutting into your gross margins now. As the dollar gets higher, you're earning less offshore. But I guess from the man on the street perspective, an overseas trip is going to cost you a lot less right now. You're filling up the car at the end of the week, it's going to cost you a lot less. The importers are buying better, so we should see a hold on costs. From a national perspective, you're looking at it from the point of view of interest rates. Interest rates will probably stay where they are. No need to put the interest rates up now. The currency's doing it all for the central bank, the Reserve Bank.
But you're still getting tragedies like the demise of Design Line.
Design Line is a tragic case. It's been in overseas ownership for only 5 years. They expanded the business and they took on a greater degree of risk when they moved into Rolleston. It became progressively harder to sell buses around the world because of this increase in our currency, and the world's been through a real mincing action for several years now. So the whole trade scene is quite disruptive. It's unfortunate what's happening. I understand there was some proposal to sell the business to a Malaysian company, according to the lawyers acting for those interests. The court decided that it would go ahead and order a liquidation, not hold back. So it's in the hands of a liquidator now. Unfortunately, what it looks like doing is tipping a lot of good people out of work. At least 250, maybe as many as 400, depending on how many people were supplying the company. This is the company, of course, you must remember, designed the electric bus, the green bus that runs around Christchurch, claimed around the world. So it's an astonishing turn of events for them.
What's the story about broadband?
In essence, what's happening is that Telecom, after an agonising period of many, many months, not knowing where the hell it stood, was awarded the bulk of all the remaining contracts, apart from one big fellow, Christchurch and Rangiora, which has come to the Christchurch City Council-owned Enable Networks. So they'll be doing that build here. That should be quite sympathetic with the rebuild of the Christchurch Central District area as well. And so that's very good news from our city perspective. What it means for you at home, it's intended to run out faster broadband. Hopefully they won't put the prices up. If they hold the same price level that they've got and give us faster broadband, we should all be happy. The analysts are looking at the stock, Telecom, and saying, well, we'd like a little bit more detail, please. We're not quite sure just what this means. It doesn't look like they're earning a lot off the deal, but it's been widely regarded as positive. So the jury's a little bit out, but overall it's good news.
And that's CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.